All right, if anybody still believes that all of this is about Russia, this statement applies to you. Russia is a convenient excuse, a scapegoat to try and blame the failings of the Democrats on to deflect people's attention from what really goes on here. The real issue is China. The real infiltration is from the Chinese government. They have taken over Hollywood, they've taken over the ideology of the Democrats, and right down the line. The Democratic left aligns themselves with authoritarian ideologies, authoritarian systems. That's why they talk about the things that they do. That's why they preach the things that they preach. Because they're submissionists. They spent their whole lives submitting to other people, and some kind of psychological twistedness in them makes them think that they have a right to run that system, that kind of system themselves. According to the globalist philosophy and or plan, the majority of the power in the world was supposed to be shifted to China because under that system, and the UN is a perfect example, it's a completely authoritarian system where a very few have the power over many. Do you know what happens if you're a Chinese dissident? If you come out talking about freedom and fair rights for the people and all of the things that we should all believe in, you disappear. And they cut you up, harvest your organs, and sell them off to the highest bidder. If the people of the world knew what the Chinese people have to go through on a day to day basis, they would be totally appalled. They're so polite, they're so compliant, is the overall take that the rest of the world has. The reality of it is, those people have been terrorized into submission. Something that the Democrats align with. Because if anybody knows any history of the Democratic Party here in the US, they were for slavery. They were against integration. And they were the ones that pushed back hardest against the civil rights movement when it came around. Oh, but they're not like that anymore, some would say, especially those in their own party. Bullshit. That's why they have aligned themselves with authoritarian systems. They're for the policies that the European Union has instituted in Europe. They align themselves with what is the heart of the New World Order philosophy, which is all over the UN. Their major thing, or one of the things that evil does and that we all know is true, is turn everything upside down and inside out and make us believe as regular people that it's our fault. Eventually, if you have a two party system, you end up with positive gravitating towards one side and negative gravitating towards the other. Is there a mixture in between of people who are confused or what have you? Most definitely. But over time, that's the way it works. That's the way it has to work. So you end up with the authoritarians on the negative side and the people who believe in freedom and God given rights on the other side. And anybody with an IQ higher than their shoe size should realize that our Creator would not want us to be slaves, would not want us to submit to an authoritarian system. Yet it's rubbed in our faces every day that someone else has the right to do our thinking for us because supposedly they know better. When it should be fairly obvious to anybody that that's a satanic attitude. That's an authoritarian attitude and takes away the quality of life for people around the world. And that's why the Democrats align themselves with those particular ideologies, because that's what they believe. Joe Biden actually said it himself yesterday. And bear in mind that they turn everything inside out and upside down. He said that this is a fight for America's soul. What the hell do you think he was talking about? If you don't know, I'll tell you. They want to capture freedom, make it submit, and own its soul. All of this isn't really that hard to see through. Once you realize that it's their philosophy to turn things inside out and upside down and try to sell it to the world as good, when the reality of it is it's not. It's anything but good. This country is not full of authoritarian white supremacist Nazis, although that's what they would have us believe. But just because they keep saying it's true doesn't make it true. And lately, the things that they say, the things that they do, are all to protect themselves. Because along the way, they have done some horrible things themselves. And they're backed into a corner and they don't know what to do. So they keep pushing this bullshit that a free society is taken over by white people with privilege and we're out to keep the rest of the world down, when the reality of it is this country in particular is one of the most accepting, the most helpful, and the most, much to our detriment, forgiving. So if you still think that the Democrats make sense, this one's for you.